Now we've been unmuted. Welcome back.
That's probably good, to be fair.
To Plough Lane after another disappointing defeat here at the hands of Crawley Town, going 1-0 down in the 5th minute and then failing to come back. Joined to my left by George Jones and my right, Stuart Deacons, pundit turned producer, in front of the camera today. And yeah, so I don't know where to start.
And we've got it's a bit of a sticky bit. The technology is just not wanting to work today, to be fair. I think it's not on its own. On that, I don't know where you start, Tom. I really don't. Flat is the word, isn't it?
Yeah. I think there were some interesting shouts at the end of the game as well, which I don't know whether, you know, when we're 10 without a win or even a draw, you know, would have. I don't know if it would have sufficed today, but it would have, you know, given us something if we'd scored a goal. We didn't look at. I mean, no shots on target. I don't think it was for 90 minutes, which is remarkable to me against a team that a second bottom of the table, second bottom of the form table as well, and we just can't seem to do anything.
Do you know what? When I got down to my seat, I started the game. It suddenly become very apparent to me. Big side.
Keeper was huge as well.
Big side, and you know they had much in midfield with Powell.
Very good player.
And then they had Neasden with Telford up front. And through that middle of the pitch, they dominated. And I know it was only 5 minutes, but it wasn't a surprise. The goal was coming.
Yeah.
And it was only 5 minutes in. That sounds mad, doesn't it? Yeah. But it's just the way we started.
Obviously, a new centre, a relatively new centre partner in Will Nightingale and Aaron Pierre. What was your kind of thoughts on that, George?
Yeah, I thought Will had a good game, as much as you could do in that circumstances. He didn't do too much wrong. Aaron Pierre, it's going to sound stupid, but he had our most creative moment with a driving run in the first half. He lost a lot of his duels in the air. He improved a bit as it went on, but he struggled again. But I'll be honest, I'm not going to dig him out because everyone out there struggled. The 15 players we put out today over the course of the game, they all struggled, and there can be no excuses for that anymore.
No, I just think everyone looked a little bit like they didn't really care. It was kind of cruising through a little bit. I thought Ali Al-Hamadi was quiet today, very quiet. Up the top, he didn't really have the same impact he usually does. I saw him early on get into a couple of positions where he usually likes to, kind of dropping in and cutting in and shooting, but he just didn't seem to have the same impact. But we are live on Facebook and on YouTube, so if you've got any comments, please do give us, put them in, and please make sure that we can show them on screen, because I'm sure there'll be some.
Swap my mic, because apparently my one is dodgy. 1 second.
There we go. While Stu changes over, we'll George Alfie Bendel, your love child.
Yeah,
that's about.
Yeah, I think Alfie Bendel is someone who I think he's a good player. He's very young. He came on for about 25 minutes towards the end today. He had one shaky moment where he lost possession early, but then he started to grow into it. He was playing as a forward, which is his best position. If we're honest, he is an A. But he came on, and I mean, the same with Husbyler, who came on. They were no worse than what was happening before. No,
I thought Husbyler was very good when he came on.
Yeah, but neither of them set the world on fire today. Neither did Psycho, who came on at half time, but they just, very, very poor performance from all of them today.
Yeah, just going to say, the feed is very jumpy, so apologies for that.
So you want to hear the Six Nations coverage over us as well?
Yeah. Well, we got Anthony Pat Hayes, that was absolutely shocking. That's polite, to be fair. Do you know what was interesting in terms of what Crawley did when they took Telford off? They brought Goblin on or something, went into a 5 in midfield, and they were dominating midfield as it was. But then we just couldn't win any second ball.
We couldn't when he wasn't on the pitch in the first half. So.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is tactically we just. Hey, look, we took Woody off, we took Chris Gunner off.
Is it slightly concerning that we're getting our tactics are being beaten by a team second bottom in the league and second bottom in the form table?
It's difficult, isn't it? Because they didn't look a team second from bottom.
No, they did.
No,
they didn't.
We made them look that.
That's what I'm saying, Jim. That's the argument, isn't it? You know, but in terms of we are a very small team, and the problem you've got there is you've got players like Sam Pearson. It's not calling players out on Marty Little, who are reasonably new to the group.
I thought Sam Pearson was very good today, actually.
Yeah,
as good as you can be again. All things considered.
But what I'm saying is we didn't really have. Once they realised they could press us and we'd knock it long, we couldn't win the ball. It become a scrappy game. A scrappy game, they were always going to win. You know, and let's be fair, we didn't have a shot on target. We didn't really put any pressure on them, and they killed the game easily killed the game today.
And I think we got a lot of our tactics wrong today. And you look at it at half-time, we were being overrun in midfield in the first half. And at half-time, we brought off a midfielder to put Janner on, who came on front, and we went to more of a 4-4-2. And it didn't...
I wouldn't even say we necessarily changed formation that much.
No, but it was put...
Casey was playing out wide, so he put Janner out wide.
Went out, and Psycho went a bit further up, and it went more to a flat 4-4-2. But we were getting overrun in midfield. It would have been better off adding in an extra midfielder and trying to solidify and trying to build something.
I would like to see George Marsh come on maybe in place of Alfie Bendel. I think George Marsh is good at controlling a game. He can play a pass.
I think your problem was, I don't think we had anything on the bench that could change it tactically.
No.
We didn't have a 6 foot plus. Like they brought on, was it Joyce, who was bigger than the sub. So if you look at what I looked at, every sub they brought on was bigger than the sub they replaced.
Yeah.
And every sub that we done replaced an inexperienced younger player with an old player. You know, that summed it up, you know. And whose fault's that? I don't know. You know, we have got injuries and stuff like that, but today was the first time I saw a Wimbledon team not wanting the ball. They didn't want the ball. And it wasn't a case of not fighting. I don't think you ever don't give effort, but when you don't want the ball, which then means you go long, which eats into their... let's be fair, their goalkeeper's 6'10". So,
and some.
It's just, hey, look, do you know what? Today was not a great day, and it's worrying. There was worrying signs out there.
I mean, it looks like a team that I don't like saying it, but they didn't look like they were fighting. They were poor. We were really poor today. We didn't get anywhere close to them. Crawley before today were the worst team in the league in terms of form. If you exclude us in terms of form and every metric going, and we made them look good. And they were a very poor team. They won every second ball. In fact, they won every first ball and every second ball.
Well, they weren't a poor team today because they won every first and second ball.
I know, but they weren't a good team today. We just made them look that good.
I don't think they were awful. They had some nice sequences. They had some nice play. Look, I'm not going to do it every week because I don't watch every week, but they didn't look a bad team today. They didn't look out of place, especially in some of the teams that have come here. I mean, was it a lot down to how we played? Absolutely.
They're a League 2 team.
Yeah.
And of course they're a League
physical,
2
you know what I
team.
mean? We were saying when we were in...
You've seen all the teams that have beaten us down here, the Barrows and Northamptons, they were big. And if you're not, you know, with the form we're in, if you're not confident in terms of, we've got to work the angles and play through the lines, and if you're not confident, that team is probably the worst team you come up at, because they were going to win every aerial battle. They won every 50-50.
The thing is, we have Ali's not great in the air, whereas Josh Davison can pull a man away because he's quite physical. Ali's not that type of game, and I think that's what we're missing in terms of Ali not having the kind of creative freedom where he can run through, where Josh Davison holds the ball up or someone in that role. I think we were very light up front in terms of physicality. Sam Pearson, Ethan Chislett and Casey McAteer are not strong players in terms of strength. Obviously, I think they're very good technically. I like Sam Pearson. I thought he was good today, but I couldn't tell you what we were trying to aim to achieve today.
Yeah, and I think Pearson was probably one of our best players today in terms of trying to create something. But the frustrating thing for me was, you're right, we're never going to win an aerial duel today, realistically. And we had a lot of times where the ball was falling in the second six, so within 10 yards outside the penalty area. Whenever that happened, we worked it out and tried to put another cross in, rather than trying to work a space in the middle and getting a shot from range. Because that was the only way we were going to get a shot today, because we weren't going to win a clean header. Certainly not enough to challenge that keeper.
Hey look, when they went to 4-5-1, they just basically kept the gaps in between their lines tight. They could afford to drop off, because if we went long, they knew they'd win every header, and they weren't going to play through us because we weren't strong enough in those areas. And do you know what? In a way, the players looked really demoralised, because anything we tried, we couldn't get any head of steam, could we? Couldn't get any head of steam.
And it's one of the things, it was also a lack of awareness, because we saw in the last couple of minutes when we did have a spell of pressure towards the end, we noticed where Sam Pearson was a man coming back. He looked like he pulled his hamstring or something, and he was really struggling. No one else dropped. So he was staying as the last man for when we were attacking set pieces.
If you look at
when he didn't have a hamstring, and had they cleared it, we would have been in serious trouble.
If you look at a team that actually finished a game, a lot of youngsters in there, a lot of inexperience. You know, I felt Alfie Bendel, bless him, come in there. I think one bit he got the ball taken off him, conceded a foul. But coming from Eastbourne Borough into that pace and
toxicity as well of the environment. You know, I mean, any backwards pass getting booed.
I felt for them today.
I think that was. Personally, I think that was a poor call from Jackson to bring the young player into that midfield when you've got George Marsh sat there ready and waiting. As much as I have heard some things about George Marsh over the past few days in terms of fan interaction, things like that, but regardless, in that situation, you bring on a player that's got Premier League pedigree, has played in League One for us and now obviously played a few games in League Two, you don't put a youngster in that position. And I feel sorry for Bender in that sense.
Just point it, like, look at the stats. I'm 1 in 10. That's 5 defeats out of the last 6. We've broken our trend of scoring the first goal.
So instead of scoring the first goal and losing, we've just decided to just lose. So we've taken a cog out of it.
It takes out that little glimmer of hope.
And that goal was a very straightforward goal, wasn't it? I think some people were saying it might have been offside.
It was offside.
But the thing is, you can't. The referee decision is fine in this league. We don't have VAR to go put forward upon.
But it was very easy when you think about it in terms of a square ball. And actually, Neaston started wide on the right actually first 5 minutes, and then ghosted in on the back stick and was in. But
the thing is, I've seen people calling Gunter out. But balls are going to get put across the box, or centre backs have to step in and do something, and they don't. They just stand there and watch.
Just so I am seeing the comments here.
Sorry, just to comment on that before we go to comments. It was a very similar goal to what we saw at Doncaster, where the centre backs let the cross go and then put the blame on Jack Curry for losing his man.
Jack Curry was poor today, I thought.
It wasn't his best game at all. But again, it's that trend of defenders letting the ball go and trusting a full-back to win something in the far post, rather than dealing with it or letting Tans come and deal with it.
Yeah, I was just going to say, look, I'm seeing your comments. Obviously, there's some that, to be fair, with the language on I can't put on there. But hey, look, I'm not going to hide away from the fact that we've got a lot of disappointed fans.
We're also disappointed fans sat on the panel, so you guys aren't alone in that sense.
I'm not ignoring them. I'm just picking the ones that I can use. You can see them on the chat, but I don't think it's probably fair at the moment. I think we all know it's a very difficult situation. I don't know. I don't know what you do at the moment. We've got 9 games left to the end of the season.
We're at 50 points yet. We're not, are we?
No, I think 47 is what's
probably safe, isn't it?
Roughly, I think I've got the stats somewhere, but I think on average 47.
It's 47 gives you a good chance. 50 pretty much guarantees it.
Yeah.
But at the moment we're on 43. You look at that team. That's 4 points. Seems a long way off right now. But I think it's one of those things that we talked about in the pre-match. Was today must win, and I think people around the ground certainly felt it was.
I think it was must not lose.
Must not lose. Probably
I think a must win is when you're in relegation trouble.
When we're in Crawley, it was anything, a must win.
Well, I think we said Crawley have moved out of relegation.
Yeah, Crawley are now out of the relegation zone with games in hand, so that's massive for them today.
Yeah, we played Hartlepool down here, and if I'm comparing Hartlepool and Crawley will stay up all day long.
Yeah. The things with their games, I think they're always in a difficult position with their games in hand. They've always got scrutiny about their ownership as well. I don't know enough about it to comment, but they're always going to get a bit of like, they're rubbish because they've got American investors that do crypto or something like that, and they signed a YouTube and all that sort of stuff. They pay people like that for the rest of the season, they're going to be fine. So regardless of ownership and who they sign, they're going to be fine. I think they've got quality players as well.
Our signal is absolutely rubbish. You're probably hearing us rather than seeing us, and to be fair, that's probably
for the benefit.
Anyway.
Better way of doing it.
Yeah. Should we call it a day?
I thought we'll call it a day. It's not bad. I just feel flat. Might take some pancakes later to cheer me up, actually. Anyways, if you have heard us and have seen us, it's been an absolute pleasure to be joined by George Jones and Stuart Deakins. Thank you to Stu for doing all the producing work as well. Have a lovely evening, and hopefully we'll see you